You announced specific dates that those elections are going to hold. But now that you say it's a principle, does that then mean that those dates, maybe when National Assembly finishes with the Electoral Act amendments, or when you meet with politicians subsequently, do we assume that those dates, those specific dates that you've announced, can change?
Obviously, it can change. If somebody comes tomorrow and there is a law that says that the term has been increased to 6 years or 4.5 years, 100 days to the end of term will not be February again. The principle is 100 days to the end of term. So we just used that to calculate, and that was how we arrived at the 16th of February 2019. It's a formula which you can apply to any election year. If there's any form of amendment to the end of terms or to the terms of office holders today, we will not even spend 30 seconds when we apply that principle to determine the date of election. It will just be about 100 days and then the Saturday which precedes that end of term election. That is just the principle which I've used. We were talking about this. It's obvious there must be an election. The question here is that, is 100 days enough, or is it adequate or inadequate? That is the bending question about this. But we are convinced that about 100 days to the end of tenure will be very adequate, instead of waiting to the 30 days to the end of office, to the end of tenure, or 150 days, which we consider will be too long for the. That's all. Those are the begging questions here.
Have you considered that perhaps that's one of the reasons why some political parties are kicking against this, saying that you shouldn't have even gone to announce this principle of yours, or even a timetable?
This is not a timetable, it is a principle. Because it is wrong for anybody to get up tomorrow and say that the Commission has announced the 16th day of February 2019 and start complaining the person is doing an illegal act. The parties are not even supposed to start nominating candidates. They are not supposed to submit. They haven't done primaries. All these are the activities in the time. We will give them all this when we announce the timetable. So this is not the timetable. Anybody who undertakes any of these political activities which will lead to an election now is obviously undertaking an illegal action. This is not a timetable, as I told you.
I'm concerned because
it is the announcement.
Permit me to butt in here. I'm concerned because when you go the way of your principle, it would seem to suggest that you did not carry out any scientific research to be able to arrive at a particular date, that you feel that every stakeholder is carried along. Perhaps a poll, perhaps a referendum, if you have done, would have been more appropriate before you come up with a principle like this.
The principle is very simple. It's not, in fact, just like I said, it's so determinable, and that's what I've explained to you. The principle or the scientific formula, as you put it, is simply 100 days to end of tenure. That's all we have said. All you have just done is to translate it into what it would mean in 2019 election. That's all we have done. 100 days to the end of tenure. That's exactly what this means. I think all the lines of expressions we made can just be condensed into one word. Elections will be conducted in Nigeria now, 100 days, the closest Saturday, which is around the 100 days to the end of tenure. That is exactly what it means in one sentence. And I'm sure it's just something which has been done for the country. If we consult, even you are talking about consultation, let us take it for argument's sake. Everybody knows that it is a must that election must take place between 30 and 150 days. So what you are now asking us to consult about is to come between 31 and 150. Which days do you pick it?
Soyebi, let me jump in here, because if you say that maybe what we should have just said is election will hold between 100 days of this and that, isn't that what you should have announced rather than just put dates, time for specific elections? Shouldn't you have done that instead of coming up with specific dates?
I mean, there are two faces of the same thing. If I told you that if elections would take place 100 days to the end of tenure, and the Saturday that hovers around that 100 days, I'm assuring you, if you take a calendar, more than 60 million Nigerians will get the 16th day of February, just like we have gotten it. It's just the formula, and as I told you, we just translated the formula onto 2019 as an example. You can calculate, if we live here now, I can tell you when we have the election in 2023 based on the formula, in 2027 when we have the formula, in 2031 when we have the formula, 2035 when we have the formula. All these are predictable. It is the predictability which we are working upon, that at least we are institutionalizing it now in Nigeria as a principle of very good practice, that in any election year, Nigerians can sit down and determine when their presidential election will take place. 2019 was just used as an example. As I said, it does not translate into releasing the timetable for 2019 elections. No. There are legal provisions for that, and that will follow to the letter. In fact, the release for the 2019 general election will not take place earlier than probably August 2018. And that is what we can call timetable. This is not a timetable.
Okay, so in other words, we might as well refer to it as INEC's election principle and not a timetable, as you've said.
Yes, yes. They can call it the principle of conducting general elections. They can call it they will even give it their own names. But that exactly is what it is. We can predetermine a predetermination in any election year of when the election will happen, based on that principle of 100 days to the end of tenure.
Just quickly, one more thing before you go, about electronic voting. What is INEC's position on that, and are you ready for it?
Yes, we are not. The whole country is the one that will. The process belongs to the whole country. We are engaging extensively on this. Luckily, the impediment which we had in the past, which was the law which says something like, in the meantime, has been removed by the 2015 Electoral Act. So the legal impediment that we have has been removed. But we have to consult very widely. You have to consult very widely. You are all aware that the major components of our elections are electronic. The register is an electronic register. The validation of voter and card is 100% electronic. So it is about the only part, that is balloting using an electronic machine, which is there. But we are not leaving any stone unturned in ensuring that we achieve this. We are consulting extensively. We are going to have a pilot scheme on this. But as soon as we have something, at least based on what you know us for, we will get everybody involved, the stakeholders, the political parties, the voters, even as far back as people with disabilities. All these ones are the ones we always take into consideration.
All right, it's good to hear that you can and will consult on this particular one. We've been speaking with Mr. Solomon Soyebi, INEC's National Commissioner for Voter Education and Publicity. Thank you for talking to us today.